At last, the double discount sale is finally out. I can just sit down and enjoy some games. I cannot wait. Hey, are you going to be making a video about the new PlayStation deals that have just popped up? Yeah, actually my video for the double discount sale went live yesterday, so you can go and check that out on the channel if you like. No, I don't think you have. There's actually another one. Wait, there's another one? Sony, why do you keep making sales? Why do you keep making deals? Hey, don't shoot the messenger. Seriously, Sony, what the Surprise, surprise, there is another deal on the PlayStation Store. Before we kick on with this deal, I'm working on a video about game recommendations where I recommend each of you guys, the viewers, games that you might want to pick up based on past games you've played. So in the past couple of videos, I've been asking people to leave a comment down below with 2 games that you recently played and really enjoyed, and maybe a genre or 2 genres of games that you particularly enjoy. Then what I'm going to do is include your comments and you'll be featured in a video or an upcoming video called Game Recommendations, where I recommend you a game based on the information you've given me. So leave a comment down below so you can get included in that, and it'll be really helpful for me as well. While you're down there, you may as well hit the subscribe button too, because, you know, you're already down there. You may as well hit it. It doesn't hurt anyone. It's completely free. And I guess while we're talking about it, leave a like too. Let's just finish the trifecta off like that. This is the new PlayStation Store hot deals or under $20 deals sale or promo that they have going on. This one here is not too bad. It's a lot better than the double discount sale that we talked about yesterday or the day before, depending on when this publishes. And there's a bunch of really decent stuff in here as well. The EA Family Bundle is 80% off or 40% off, depending on whether you have PlayStation Plus or not. So it works out to be $8. It comes with Unravel, Need for Speed, and Garden Warfare 2, which is the really cool Plants vs. Zombies game that I personally really enjoy. Remember though, if you have EA Access, you can actually get these 3 games as part of EA Access, which is only $1 at the moment for 1 month. So if you want to sign up to that subscription service, you can save yourself quite a bit of money just by being a bit more thrifty and signing up for that. And even ongoing, it's a lot cheaper, but you don't own the games, obviously. So keep that in mind, especially when it comes to things like this and you see this big discount for 3 games. Great deal, but there are better ways of doing it as well. All right, let's look at the rest of the stuff going on here, because there's a lot of things to talk about. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Edition is $8, $7.99. This is a little bit cheaper than normal. Normally, I believe it comes down to $8.99 or $9.99, so it is slightly cheaper. If you don't own The Witcher 3 at this point, I don't know what you're waiting for. Third person Western RPG, fantastic RPG, probably the best Western RPG on the entire PlayStation 4 ecosystem. Definitely one of those games you have to try out for yourself, I would say, so worth picking this one up, especially for that price. Literally getting hundreds of hours of content there. The Hitman HD Enhanced Collection is $17.99, 70% off. This is a pretty reasonable price for this, especially because a lot of people are probably playing the new Hitman game at the moment who might want to go back to the older Hitman games. Now, these ones aren't probably quite as good as the new Hitman titles, but they're worth checking out if you're into those games. And at $18, I think this is a reasonable price for it. When this initially launched, it was a $60 title for 2 remasters, and that wasn't worth the price. But for this one here, at $18, I would say very, very good price. Injustice 2 is down to $5. Great price for Injustice 2. Fantastic fighting game made by NetherRealms, the guys who make Mortal Kombat. Really, really fun, and it's actually got a fantastic story that goes along with it as well, carrying the DC characters and explaining why they're fighting and what they're actually trying to do. It's one of the better superhero stories, I would say, in video games. It even rivals that of Spider-Man, just in terms of narrative behind it. And the cutscenes are done flawlessly as well. If you're not into fighting games, but you still like superheroes, this is really worth checking out. I'm not a massive fighting guy, and I had a blast playing through this game without really being very good at it. Battlefield 1, this has actually been $5 before, so it's a little bit more expensive than normal. $8 here, but it's $8, which is it's anything under $10. I think is kind of worth mentioning when things drop this low. Keep in mind, Battlefield 1 is free as part of the PlayStation Plus collection on PS5. So if you're buying a PS5 anytime soon, don't buy this. Not worth your time. But if you're not planning on getting it and you want a new first-person shooter to play, Battlefield 1 is probably one of the best Battlefield games that's come out in more recent years. All of the Resident Evil games are on sale here. Resident Evil 5, 4, and 6, or 4, 5, and 6. They all come down to $8, so all 3 of them are that same price point. Really solid price for all of these. I would say Resident Evil 5 in particular is worth checking out here, just because of how much content is baked into that $7 or $8 price point, I should say. RE4 is again a fantastic Resident Evil title, but I think it has been kind of outplayed by Resident Evil 7, which I think is a far better game. Sorry to get too nerdy, I love Resident Evil, as you guys know. Resident Evil 5 is more action oriented, but it does have a fantastic co-op mode, so if you're planning on playing it with a buddy, you can have a really great time in RE5 with a friend. RE6 has that as well, but the game just doesn't quite play as well as RE5 does, so that's my recommendation here, RE4 or 5. Keeping in mind, we are probably getting an RE4, a Resident Evil 4 remake at some point in the near future, I would say. The Lego games are also discounted, so the call out is obviously Lego Marvel Superheroes as well as Lego Marvel Superheroes 2, $5.99 each. These are great if you're after essentially a hack and slash collectathon style game, then these are great prices for those games. $6. You're getting like 40 hours of content in here, and they are a pretty cool ode to superheroes. The stories are really well built, really well done. You feel like a superhero as you're playing through these games, even though it's Lego. They do become a bit tedious if you play too many of them back to back, but if you're playing one or two of them, you know, it's not too bad. Unravel 2 is $4. I always mention Unravel because they have a great platinum trophy list, but Unravel 2 has a really cool split screen co-op as well, where you can play with a friend or a significant other, which is great if you're wanting to play on a couch. Not many games have that, so there's that. It is included in EA Access, like I mentioned, the previous EA title as well, so keep that in mind, but $4, very good price for a game like this. BioShock Collection, this is, I think, the best deal in the entire sale, so take note of it. $9.99, you're getting all 3 BioShock games. BioShock 1 Remastered, BioShock 2 Remastered, and BioShock Infinite, which is basically BioShock 3 Remastered. 3 fantastic titles, 1 being this God tier title, or S tier title, I would say. 2 and Infinite being great games, but not as good as the first one in my personal opinion. For $10, you're getting all 3 of these games though, which is just absolutely phenomenal, especially considering how high quality they are. It means you're paying like $3.30 or something per game to get all 3 of these, which is just absolutely incredible value. So if you haven't played the BioShock games, this is the deal to grab. If you're looking for a fantastic deal in the sale, this is the one to get, I would say. BioShock, if you're not aware because you haven't played it for whatever reason, is this first-person narrative-driven adventure, I would say. First one probably leaning more towards thriller or even horror in some elements. And the third one much more being action oriented, I would say. Your character kind of lands in this dystopian world. The first one, it's Rapture under the sea. The third one, Infinite, it's actually in the sky in Colombia, and you have these powers, you have these guns. It's just a fantastic world to get involved with, and highly recommend it. Let me know if you enjoy BioShock in the comments below, because I love it. Speaking of 2K games, Borderlands The Handsome Collection is also discounted for $13.19. Again, another great price for this. This is Borderlands 2 and Borderlands, the pre-sequel, which is kind of like a Borderlands 1.5, I guess. Great games though. Both of these are really good. Pre-sequel weaker than 2, but 2 is easily the best Borderlands game in the franchise, I would say. Worth checking out as well if you're looking for something like this. Borderlands being another like a first-person shooter RPG, which is kind of uncommon, especially when these were made. They call them looter shooters because you are collecting a lot of loot and things like that in them as well, but it's an RPG at the end of the day. Great games, worth checking out. Metal Gear Solid 5 the Definitive Edition is $6. I have seen this for $5 before. This game seems to be discounted pretty much every sale, so don't jump on this one if you're not going to play it immediately, because it will be discounted again. Metal Gear Solid though, fantastic open world, third-person action stealth game or tactical stealth game if you're looking for something. Again though, it does get discounted pretty much every sale, so you don't have to rush on it. Ty the Tasmanian Tiger HD, this one's a little bit more expensive at $20, but if you're a mascot platformer fiend like me who loves these guys, Crash, Spyro, the Apes, any of this sort of stuff, Ty is a great PS2 era mascot platformer that has been remastered for the PlayStation 4. They're actually going through and remastering Ty 1, 2, and 3, with Ty 2, I believe, coming out in the middle of this year, 2021. Really fun mascot platformer games. It's not going to it's not going to set the world on fire or do anything amazing. I don't think they're as good as Crash or Ratchet or Jack or any of those guys, but I think as a mascot platformer, or a 3D mascot platformer, it does a lot of really stuff right, and it's a lot of fun, so I'd recommend that if you're looking for something a little bit out of the box to play. Metro Exodus is also discounted for first-person dystopian game again, narrative-driven, very similar to BioShock, I suppose, in both like narrative and tone. This one here, you're in Russia after a nuclear blast. There are enemy soldiers and people that you have to kill, as well as these mutants, and it creates this like very interesting back and forth between these two different types of enemies. It's pretty neat. This is actually the third one in a trilogy of games, I believe. There's 3 of them, I'm pretty sure. So they often do get discounted as well if you're looking for playing all of them in advance of this. Metro Exodus, I would say, is a contender for PlayStation Plus at some point as well, so keep that in mind too. Maybe hold off just in case that happens, but I mean, it's 14 bucks. It's not a bad price. Twin Mirror is a new game that came out at the end of last year. This is developed by the same guys that make the Life is Strange franchise of games. It looks like it's taking some elements from those games, the Life is Strange games, and Alan Wake as well, and combining these sort of two things: detective elements. You've got these narrative elements. You've got this thing where you have to solve this mirror. It does give me a Twin Peaks vibe. It's got this mystery air to it as well. I personally haven't played this one yet, but I have been eyeing it up, and for 20 bucks, I think I am going to pull the trigger on this one and jump on it. It's only 10 bucks off what the initial launch price was, but the game only came out in December, I believe, 2020. So it's a brand new game, and for that price, that's just good value. Assassin's Creed Freedom Cry is down to $3.74. Great price for an Assassin's Creed game. This was the side Assassin's Creed game, so it's not a mainline narrative game. It was like a side Assassin's Creed game, but still great if you're looking to get a cheap Assassin's Creed game, although they all do tend to get discounted pretty heavily as well, so be aware of that. Sniper Elite 3 is down to $6. Obviously not the newest in the Sniper Elite franchise, but if you're looking for a game that has this awesome sniping mechanics and really does focus on sniping and perfect sniping, this is a great game to check out. The Sniper Elite franchise always prides itself on the kill shots and lining up and making sniping just feel so satisfying and fun to play. I played a ton of this when it launched on the PlayStation 4. I had such a good time with it. You're in these open world environments and you have to sort of target these different enemies and things. It's a third-person action game where you get put into these open worlds and you have to kind of decide how you want to handle the situation. Think of it kind of like the Hitman games, but for sniping instead, and you kind of have an idea of how the game plays. The Shape-Shifting Detective, this is an FMV, full motion video game, where you play completely narrative driven, where you make choices and decisions, very similar to Detroit Become Human or the Telltale's The Walking Dead games, except the characters aren't game characters, they're real life actors playing these characters in these parts. The decisions that you make alter how the game plays out and what actually happens in it. In this one here in particular, you play as a character called the Shape-Shifting Detective, and you can change your appearance into a different appearance. When you interview and interrogate people, they will respond differently depending on who you are dressed as or who you are like shape-shifted into, which is neat because you have to solve this crime. They'll only open up to particular people, which makes this like whole dynamic of shape-shifting into different characters to identify different bits of information and kind of following those leads like a real detective. It's pretty fun, and it's got those cool kind of quirky supernatural elements to it as well with that shape-shifting thing, which kind of gives it a bit of like pizzazz, I would say. Bulletstorm Full Clip Edition, I know this has been on PlayStation Plus, but it's a pretty fun first-person shooter game that came out back on the PS3. This was obviously a remaster of the PS3 and Xbox 360 game of the same name. Bulletstorm was all about quick combat. It kind of took a lot of the stuff that Gears of War did on the Xbox and kind of mashed it into a first-person game, as well as kind of combining a lot of things from Doom, I would say, or the id games, in terms of fast, kinetic gameplay. You have this grappling hook, and you have to hook onto people, and you have to do all these different sort of skill shots to gain points and things like that. It's fun and silly. It does kind of fit into that whole Duke Nukem era of gaming to a degree because there is a lot of silliness in there, but fun, very straightforward first-person shooter if you're just looking for something simple to pick up and play. Bloodstained Curse of the Moon. This was a prequel to Bloodstained, I can't remember what Bloodstained's actual title was. Ritual of the Night? No. I can't actually remember anymore. This is a prequel to it based on the Castlevania 3 rather than Symphony of the Night gameplay, where you're playing in this 8-bit or a 16-bit, I guess, style of game. It's a shorter game. It's not super long, but for $5, if you enjoy Metroidvania or Castlevania style games, this is perfect. If you like Castlevania 3 or any of those kind of games, this is exactly what you want. Speaking of Bloodstained, the other one, the main Bloodstained game, is also superb. So pick that up if you like Symphony of the Night like I do, then you'll love it. It's a great game. The last game I want to talk about is Riviera for $3.89. This is a really cool indie RPG made and set in New Zealand, which is where I'm from, so it kind of has a bit of a soft spot for me. If you like those isometric old school RPGs, it kind of feels a little bit Zelda-y to me, where you've got to solve puzzles, go into dungeons, kill things, it's a neat little thing. And these games don't come along often that are made and set in New Zealand. It's kind of a weird anomaly in terms of game development and design. So I mean, if you want to support a small developer who made a game that's completely unique and not like anything else on this list, then pretty cool one, worth checking out. I enjoyed this when I played it. It's a couple of years old at this point. Normally $12, down to $4. Not bad, I would say. I think that's like 23 games that we've gone through on this list. Maybe actually more. I think I have 23 on my screen here, but I feel like it could have actually been more than that. Let me know anyway which ones you're going to be picking up in the comment section down below. If there's other good deals, let me know. Don't just post, where is this deal? If I haven't mentioned it, it's probably because I haven't played it or I don't think it's very good value. But if you think it's good value or you've played a game that's not on this list, leave it down below. It's always appreciated, and the community may find a game that they really enjoy because you've left a comment about it. So make sure you do that. Hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. Give a thumbs up if you haven't already. I'll see you guys in the next one. See you later, gamers.